friends. I'm going to be very open and honest and raw with you about what my thought process has been this week. As you can tell, I'm sitting in my car. So this week I have been a little discouraged about how my channel is going per se. The growth of it, my mindset, and my direction, and the videos that I need to be making, and the time that I have, and the time that it takes to put in to make the videos and then edit them. But also knowing that this is my mission field. I believe that we can all experience things like this no matter what we are doing in life and what our mission field is. Whether our mission field is strictly just getting up and going to work every day and sitting at that desk doing our work, or if we are tending to an elder parent or running a nutrition shop or whatever the job may be. But this is my job. This is my mission field on this channel for me to share my life, the hard days and the easy days. As my friend Bill Sniger says, the blah days. He refers to the blah days as the glue that holds us together throughout life. Kind of like, life being a roller coaster, and there's fun and thrill days. It's like on a roller coaster, the fun and thrill are the ones that like where the loops are and stuff. But then you've got the segments of a roller coaster that's, talking you to get you around to where you're gonna go through the fun thrills. And so I thought that was a neat analogy that he used recently in one of his videos, and it just so happened to be whenever he mentioned the blah, I had been experiencing blah myself. And I really think that it has a lot to do with just this time of year, and then for me personally, getting sidetracked of thinking, well, I'm not doing enough, or one did it better than me. One's channel grew more, they got more numbers, and I just can't stop my mind and wrap it around. A lot of this stemmed from me making recent videos of mine and really figuring out where God has me in my own personal life and the direction of my channel. It has literally taken me time during these blah moments to just clear my head. And I even knew in the blah moments, like I know the things that I need to know, but whenever the enemy slips in and wants to fill my mind with junk of things that don't need to be there, days can go by where you are dealing with the blah. But I kept praying for the Lord to clear my mind and clear my slate and let me understand what He was trying to tell me. You watched my last video where I started the journal, then I spent time in His Word, and I'm trying to figure out how to intertwine both of them, and am I supposed to be intertwining both of them, and what's the longevity of the journal, and what's the longevity of me reading His Word and me discipling per se. So yesterday I had to set aside and quit watching other people's videos or looking at my news feed on social media. I really try to keep a hold on that anyway, but even whenever I do try to manage it, I can get in this blah moment. I just kept directing myself to pull away from those a little more than normal. The more time I did that, I could sense Him clearing the headspace for me. I just rested in that, like yesterday afternoon. Of course, today I wake up and it's a whole new day. I get ready this morning, get my daughter's lunch packed for her, and get her to school. And normally I try to have my hair a little more dry, but this morning that didn't work out, so it's still a little wet. You probably can't tell, but I can. And then ever since we took in the rescue puppy at the first of the year, I've really been trying to get up sooner in the mornings so I can, get dressed and ready and do my hair and my makeup, because I used to be in a rut of just getting my daughter to school and doing my makeup and hair like later, okay? But here lately, like the past week or two, I've kind of fell behind and not had enough time in the mornings, and this morning was one of those mornings that just, but I just said, you know what, Ashley, that's okay. Just do what you've got to do to get out of the house and take your makeup bag with you, and before you run your morning errands, you can put it on. So as I'm sitting here getting ready in my vehicle, I really keep, thinking about the headspace that I'm clearing out and listening for what God is telling me to get me on the right track of my blah thoughts. For this channel and for my mission, I started Googling things about the discipleship and just trying to gain my strength back and my direction, because I've gone back and watched some of my old videos, just even from the ones at the beginning of this year, and I was like, Ashley, you sounded and you felt so on track. What has happened? So I spent a little time with that over the weekend, and then, continued having these blah days, because I even had a blah day last week and had more of them this week. Well, I sat here and I Googled a few things about discipleship, and started reading a couple of things. I was like, no, this is not going where I think it needs to go. And so then eventually I looked up a video and I listened to these two guys talking about discipleship. And that's where you saw me writing on my note card. So I took some good clear notes that I want to go home and get put in that journal. And guys, I feel so much better about where the Lord's taking me, and clearing my head space and waiting and listening for Him to speak that life back over me and get me back on track. I want to be on track for you guys.
Once I got back home, I did get out my note card of notes that I took during my quiet time that morning. I used this note card. It was a scrap note card that I found in my purse, and actually on the back side has a grocery list. In my last episode, you saw where I started this journal by adding the discipleship note card and adding the pink foil and the number 8. Today I'm doing a little extra by outlining the note cards and the foil, and I'm making a note at the bottom so I'll know exactly what that 8 was for and where the pink foil came from. Here is an up close of the notes that I took. See, that was the grocery list on the back side. I was excited to get back in my journal so I could make entries of the things that I wrote down to help myself better understand where I stand for this journal and for where I stand with discipleship. If you notice, I am seeing how much space that I have in order to write a word at the top of that discipleship note card. It's the biggest thing that stood out to me as I was taking notes. Do life together. So I'm putting together over that note card, and then I will put do life on the other side. So I'm actually going to probably kind of work backwards just so I can make sure that this stays in alignment. Do life together actually lifted a load off of me, a burden that I carried because I feel like I'm not doing enough to disciple those around me, as well as the pressure that I may have carried, worried that the people around me in my life had not discipled me. Gaining this clarity was so refreshing, which I believe that that's what the Lord wants for us. He does not want us to feel pressured or carry a burden. I think about the people who I've come across in my life, whether it was someone close to me or someone from a distance that I may have just watched. But doing life together, you can learn so much about someone and about their faith. And in actuality, you are being discipled, as well as for you. When you live your life out in obedience, you are discipling those around you who are paying attention to what you are doing. This would be considered you shining in the image of Christ. Now that I got that boxed in, the do life together, let's talk about evangelism versus discipleship. I spoke about this in one of my earlier videos this year, but I wanted to document it in this journal and break it down. Discipleship is new believer growing, or better put, a growing believer. Evangelism is witnessing to someone, winning them over to Christ, sharing the gospel with a non-believer. Discipleship is a disciple learner. When we do life together as discipleship, we are actually releasing that load of thinking that there is a step-by-step process of how to disciple someone. And that's really been my thought process behind this whole journey of me diving in deeper to learn more about discipleship, because I was worried that I didn't know how to disciple someone. We live in such an era of time where things are so step-by-step that I thought I was missing the steps. Here on the right side of my journal, I'm making bullet points that stood out to me that I want to remember long term. You may find value in them as well. The first one is encouraging believers to keep learning. The second one, new believers want to learn more of Him after learning of His love for them. I believe there is a disconnect for when someone is a new believer, and then once they are a believer, they don't know quite where to go once they have accepted Christ. So for those of us who are believers, it's important for us to understand the depths of what we already know as a believer actually matters. No matter how much we know on our walk already, the amount that we do know matters to the new believers. In a little while, one of my entries for this journal will be, I don't tell you how, meaning I don't tell you how to live as a disciple. It's more of, I let you watch the way, see the way, be with me as I share my faith, then you go do. So that will be my entry in a moment up above, do life together. I'm looking back over my note card where I took notes, and I am highlighting the areas that I have already transferred my notes from the note card to my journal because they were kind of scattered around on my note card versus the way that I was putting them in my journal, and I was getting confused about which ones I had already covered and which ones I had not. The third bullet entry is helping them conform to His image, and this comes from Ephesians 4. The fourth one will be follow, learn His way. And the fifth and final one is being equipped for the work of service. Above the pink foil, the entry will be you learn more of God to be more useful and fruitful to God. Ephesians 4:12. We must not just live before people, we must tell them why. Because of Christ, I do this. Because of Christ, who called me to be with Him. If we want to make disciples, we've got to let them learn with us. I hope that you gained great value by following along with this journal entry. Value for your own spiritual growth and for the spiritual growth of those around you. In the next episode, please join me as I will be adding color to this journal entry. You don't want to miss it. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by. I hope to see you back next time. My name is Ashley Murphy. I'm an artist and an author encouraging others to shine. Your voice of influence matters. You are made to shine. Let's do life together.